My parents secretly mortgaged our home for my sister's wedding. Now, they're broke, and I've refused to save them again. I'm 28, male, and I guess you could say I've always been the forgotten one. I was the quiet kid growing up, never asked for much, never caused problems, and in return, my parents didn't pay me much attention. They were always more concerned with my sister, Elle. She was the one who got all the praise, the one who needed to be the center of everything. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't bitter about it growing up. I just figured that's how things were. Elle was outgoing, popular, and basically everything I wasn't. My parents poured their energy into her. Dance classes, piano lessons, trips abroad for summer camps, and I was just the kid who stayed home, content to play video games or read. I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. But as I got older, I started to see the cracks. I realized how entitled Elle had become, and it wasn't just her fault. It was my parents. They catered to her every whim. Never said no. Always found a way to make things happen for her, no matter how much it cost or how ridiculous it was. Meanwhile, I was left to fend for myself. I think the first real slap in the face came when I was in college. I've been working part-time, saving up for tuition, and barely scraping by. My parents never offered to help, which was fine. I didn't expect them to. But one day, I found out that they'd given Elle a brand new car for her 21st birthday. A luxury car, not just a used sedan or something practical. No, they dropped serious cash on her. Meanwhile, I was working 2 jobs and living on ramen. I remember confronting them about it, and my dad just shrugged, saying something like, "Well, she needs it. You're managing fine on your own." That was how it always was with them. Elle needed things, and I managed. Fast forward to a few years ago. My sister decided she wanted the biggest, most extravagant wedding you could imagine. We're talking a full-on fairy tale wedding. Designer dress, a 5-star venue, the works. It was insane, but no one was surprised. That's just Elle. What did surprise me was how my parents reacted. They were beyond excited, talking about how it would be the wedding of the century. Something everyone would remember forever. I wasn't sure how they were going to pay for all of it, but I didn't think it was any of my business. That was until about a year later when I got a call from my mom. Out of the blue. It was one of those weird, out-of-character calls where she wasn't just checking in. She wanted something. I could feel it right away. "We need your help," she said. "Help with what?" I asked, confused. My parents had never asked me for anything. "Your father and I?" "Well, we took out a second mortgage on the house for Elle's wedding. We didn't think it would be a problem, but now I remember feeling like the floor dropped out from under me. They'd mortgaged the house? My childhood home? For a wedding? What do you mean you mortgaged the house? Why would you even do that?" I was trying to stay calm, but I could hear my voice rising. Elle wanted the wedding of her dreams. My mom said, like that explained everything. We didn't want to let her down. I was stunned. "And now what? You're calling me because you can't pay it back?" There was a long pause on the other end of the line before my mom quietly said, "Yes, we're behind on payments. The bank is threatening to foreclose." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My parents had essentially gambled with our home, my home, and lost. All for a wedding. I could feel the anger bubbling up inside me, but I tried to keep it together. "And where's Elle in all of this?" I asked. "She knows about this, right?" Another long pause. Then my mom said she doesn't talk to us anymore. She and her husband moved to the West Coast after the wedding. We haven't heard from her in months. That was the final straw for me. They mortgaged the house to give my sister her perfect day. And now she'd completely cut them off. They were broke, about to lose the house, and had the nerve to come to me for help, like I was their backup plan. I don't know what I expected in that moment. Maybe I thought they'd apologize, or at least acknowledge how ridiculous the situation was. But no, my mom just kept going, telling me about how the bank was calling, how they were struggling to make ends meet. It was like they were completely oblivious to how unfair it all was. "Why didn't you ask me before you did this?" I finally said, my voice shaking. "Why didn't you at least tell me what was going on?" "We didn't want to worry you," my dad chimed in like that made it better. "We thought we could handle it." "Handle it? You're about to lose the house." Silence. I didn't know what to say after that. I hung up the phone, and spent the next few days trying to process everything. I talked to a lawyer to see what my options were, and sure enough, if they didn't come up with the money, the house would be gone. My lawyer told me I could help them pay off the debt, or I could let it go. I could let them lose everything. It felt like a trap. On one hand, they were my parents. They raised me, and I didn't want to see them homeless. On the other hand, they'd made their bed. They'd chosen L time and time again, and now they wanted me to clean up their mess. It wasn't fair, but when had anything ever been fair in our family? I wrestled with the decision for weeks. Every time I talked to them, they sounded more desperate. My dad even tried to guilt trip me, saying things like, "We did the best we could for you kids, and you've always been so responsible. We knew we could count on you." It made me sick. I decided to confront Elle about it. I called her up, even though we hadn't spoken in months, and told her exactly what was happening. "They took out a mortgage for your wedding," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Now they're broke, and the bank is coming for the house." Her response? "That's not my problem." I couldn't believe it. "What do you mean it's not your problem? They did this for you." "I didn't ask them to," she snapped. "If they were stupid enough to do that, that's on them. I'm not responsible for their decisions." I was speechless. Here was my sister, who had benefited from their endless generosity for years, and now she was completely washing her hands of them. It was like she didn't care about any of it. The house, our parents, the mess they were in. I hung up the phone after that. I couldn't deal with her. In the end, I bailed them out. I paid off the mortgage, saved the house, and watched as my parents breathed a sigh of relief, like they hadn't just put me in an impossible position. They didn't even apologize. It was like they expected me to do it, like it was my responsibility because I was the responsible one. But things are different now. I've set boundaries with them, made it clear that I won't be stepping in again if they ever pull something like this. The trust is gone, and I don't know if it will ever come back. As for Elle, I don't speak to her anymore. She's off living her life, probably spending her husband's money, and I don't care. She made her choice just like my parents did, and now I've made mine. Looking back, I realized this was a wake-up call for me. I've always been the one who managed, the one who didn't ask for much. And maybe that's why they thought they could treat me like this. But I'm done being the backup plan. I'm done cleaning up their messes. I've learned the hard way that sometimes family doesn't mean what it's supposed to. So, yeah, my parents took out a secret mortgage on my childhood home to pay for my sister's lavish wedding. And now they're broke and begging me for help. I bailed them out, but it won't happen again. Family or not, you can only push someone so far. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them. So please leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more stories like this one.